the story of "They mocked her at the gun store. Then the commander burst in and saluted her," is a speech that revolves around prejudice, hidden strength, and the revelation of true honor. It begins with a simple woman, perhaps not dressed in a way that signifies power, wealth, or importance, walking into a gun store. From the start, she is treated with skepticism and mockery. The people inside, including staff and customers, look down on her, questioning her purpose for being there, making assumptions about her ability or even her right to handle something as serious as firearms. Their sneers and dismissive behavior highlight the everyday prejudices many face, whether based on gender, race, or social appearance. This part of the story connects to the larger theme of underestimation, showing how society often misjudges people based on shallow first impressions. As the situation unfolds, the woman holds her ground. Though humiliated by their words, she maintains her composure and refrains from lashing out in anger. Her calmness demonstrates resilience in the face of ridicule, which is often harder than fighting back. While others laugh at her or dismiss her presence, she remains steady, showing the quiet dignity of someone who knows their worth, even when others fail to recognize it. In motivational terms, this moment symbolizes how important it is not to allow other people's limited perceptions to define who you are. The turning point comes with the unexpected arrival of a commander. A highly respected figure, dressed in uniform, he walks into the store, instantly commanding attention. The atmosphere changes immediately. The laughter dies, the mocking faces suddenly turn serious, and the room falls silent. To the shock of everyone present, the commander doesn't ignore the woman, nor does he join in the prejudice. Instead, he approaches her with respect, standing tall before her and giving her a salute. This single gesture flips the entire scene upside down, proving that the woman they mocked carried a history, a reputation, or a relationship that far exceeded their shallow assumptions. The salute from the commander is more than just a sign of military respect. It is a recognition of honor, sacrifice, and achievement. It suggests that the woman might have a background the others were unaware of. Perhaps she served in the military herself, or maybe she did something remarkable that earned the respect of high-ranking officers. Whatever the reason, the commander's act exposes the ignorance of those who mocked her and affirms her true value. It demonstrates that respect is not earned by appearances but by actions, integrity, and contributions that others may never see. In the end, the mockers are left speechless. Their arrogance dissolves into shame as they realize they had judged wrongly, treating someone of immense worth as though she were nothing. For the audience, this moment is a powerful reminder not to belittle or underestimate anyone, because every person has a story, a history, and a value far deeper than what the eye can see. The speech emphasizes that humility, patience, and inner strength often reveal themselves in the most surprising ways. The lesson behind this title is clear. Society often mocks what it does not understand, but the truth always has a way of revealing itself. Respect should not be reserved for appearances, but given to every individual, because you never know the battles they have fought or the honors they carry. This story teaches us to think before we judge, to treat others with kindness, and to remember that greatness often hides behind simplicity. It is a call to live with empathy, to respect quietly, and to allow humility to guide us, because one day, the world may see in someone what we failed to recognize, and by then, it may be too late to correct our mistake. When we look at the phrase, judgment based on appearances, it reflects one of the most common and damaging tendencies in human behavior. People are quick to form opinions about others based on what they see on the surface. How someone is dressed, the way they speak, the work they do, or even the color of their skin. In the case of the woman at the gun store, she walked in without any outward signs of authority or power. Perhaps she was dressed simply, without expensive clothing, without the confidence that people often associate with influence, and immediately, those around her made assumptions. They judged her as unworthy, inexperienced, or out of place. This quick judgment blinded them from seeing her true value and potential. This is a trap that society often falls into. Appearances are the easiest thing to notice, so they become the first basis for judgment. Yet, appearances are often misleading. Someone who looks ordinary might have extraordinary experiences. Someone who appears weak might have an inner strength forged by years of challenges. Someone who seems unimportant might have made sacrifices that few could ever imagine. The woman being mocked is a symbol of how often people are dismissed, not because of what they truly are, but because of how they appear in a single moment. When people laughed at her or questioned her presence in the gun store, it revealed more about their mindset than about her. They had been conditioned to believe that only certain people belong in certain places. They assumed that someone who didn't fit their stereotype had no business being there. This kind of shallow judgment reflects insecurity and ignorance, because those who ridicule are often trying to protect their own fragile sense of superiority. By mocking her, they temporarily made themselves feel stronger, when in reality, they were exposing their lack of vision. The danger of judging based on appearances is that it closes the door to understanding. It prevents people from learning the truth about someone's character, achievements, or struggles. In the woman's case, they saw only a simple individual and failed to recognize the depth of her story. The powerful twist came later, when the commander walked in and saluted her. That single action shattered the illusion that appearances determine worth. Suddenly, the people who laughed realized that the one they mocked was worthy of respect, perhaps even more than themselves. The moment exposed the weakness of their prejudice and reminded them that respect should be given before judgment. In life, this lesson repeats itself again and again. History is filled with examples of people underestimated because they didn't look the part. Great leaders, thinkers, and heroes often come from humble beginnings and are dismissed at first glance. The truth is that appearances fade, wealth changes, and status can be temporary, but character, sacrifice, and true strength cannot be hidden forever. The woman at the gun store carried with her a dignity that others failed to see because they were too blinded by shallow assumptions. The motivational lesson here is simple yet profound. Never let appearances guide your treatment of others. Every person you meet has a story, and that story may surprise you. By looking beyond the surface, you may discover courage, honor, and greatness in the most unexpected places. For the woman, the mockery was temporary, but the respect she carried within her was permanent. The people who laughed learned a painful, but necessary lesson, that judging by appearances only leads to regret, while respecting others opens the path to truth and wisdom. Respect is something every person deserves, yet it is often withheld until society deems someone worthy. In the story of the woman mocked at the gun store, the transformation from ridicule to reverence highlights the fragile line between disrespect and acknowledgement. At first, those around her did not see her as someone important. They saw only what they wanted to see, a woman who appeared out of place. Without taking the time to understand her, they assumed she did not belong there. Their laughter and mocking words were fueled by prejudice and arrogance, showing how easily people forget the simple truth that every individual deserves basic respect regardless of how they look, where they come from, or what their role may be. When the commander entered and saluted her, everything changed instantly. Suddenly, the same people who were sneering fell silent, shocked by the honor she received from someone in a position of authority. That salute symbolized not just military recognition, but respect for her character, service, or sacrifices that others had been blind to. What stands out is the irony. They only respected her once they saw someone with power showing her respect. This reveals a flaw in human behavior. Many people wait for external validation before offering basic dignity to others. Instead of respecting her from the beginning, they needed proof that she was someone of importance. This moment delivers a strong lesson about the nature of respect. True respect is not conditional. It is not something that should be given only after titles, uniforms, or wealth prove someone's worth. Real respect starts with recognizing the humanity in others. Whether someone is wealthy or poor, strong or weak, educated or uneducated, they are still deserving of decency. The mockery at the gun store shows how society often fails at this. But the commander's salute reminds us that dignity cannot be stripped away by ridicule. It shines through when it is recognized by those who know the truth. Another key aspect here is the shift in power dynamics. The woman, once seen as powerless, was suddenly elevated above her critics by a single gesture. The commander's salute placed her in a position of honor, exposing the ignorance of those who judged her harshly. In that moment, respect became unavoidable. People who laughed now looked embarrassed, realizing their mistake. What they failed to give willingly was forced upon them through undeniable truth. This shift demonstrates how quickly perceptions can change when reality confronts prejudice. Respect is also tied to humility. The mockers lacked humility because they assumed superiority over someone they didn't know. The commander, despite his high rank, showed humility by saluting her. That humility is the foundation of true respect. It is not about elevating oneself, but about recognizing the worth in others. The contrast between the arrogance of the crowd and the humility of the commander paints a powerful picture of what real respect looks like. On a deeper level, this moment serves as motivation for anyone who has been disrespected, underestimated, or mocked. It shows that respect does not always come immediately, but it cannot be denied forever. If someone carries dignity, integrity, and strength within themselves, eventually it will be recognized. The salute was proof that her value existed all along. It just took time for others to see it. This should encourage people not to seek validation from the world's shallow judgments, but to trust that true worth always rises to the surface. In daily life, this lesson applies everywhere. From workplaces to schools, from families to friendships. The temptation to judge and withhold respect is always present. But offering respect, even when you don't know someone's full story, is a sign of maturity and wisdom. It prevents regret and builds stronger connections. Respect costs nothing, yet its absence can cause great harm. The woman's story leaves behind a timeless truth. Respect should never be an afterthought. Waiting until society or authority confirms someone's value is not respect, it is fear of being wrong. Real respect is proactive. It is given freely, without conditions, without proof. Those who mocked her will forever remember how wrong they were, and the image of the commander saluting her will remain a reminder that respect is not earned through appearances but through humanity itself. Judgment is one of the quickest reactions people have toward others, often made in the blink of an eye and without any true understanding of the person being judged. In the story of the woman mocked at the gun store, this point is made clear when people formed assumptions based only on her appearance, presence, and what they believed she could or could not do. They saw a simple woman, someone who in their eyes did not look strong, confident, or capable of belonging in such a place. Their judgment came instantly, expressed through laughter, smirks, and cruel words. But what makes this moment powerful is how their shallow assumptions were shattered in an instant. When the commander arrived and saluted her, it exposed how wrong judgment can be when based on appearances alone and revealed the truth, that no one really knows another person's story until it is revealed. The danger of quick judgment lies in its ability to diminish people unfairly. Those who mocked her at the store never considered her history, her struggles, her resilience, or her hidden achievements. They were blinded by stereotypes, perhaps believing she was weak, poor, or unworthy of respect. Yet in reality, she held a past that demanded honor, something so significant that a commander himself recognized it with a salute. This reversal shows how judgment does not define who a person is. It only exposes the ignorance of those doing the judging. The moment when the commander saluted her stripped away the power of those false assumptions and left the mockers ashamed. This is something many people can relate to in life. Everyone has been judged unfairly at some point, whether for the way they look, the job they do, the clothes they wear, or the background they come from. The world often forgets that beneath every face is a story that no one else can see. Some of the strongest, most remarkable individuals appear ordinary at first glance, while some of the loudest and proudest have little of real worth inside. Judgment based on appearance is not only shallow but also dangerous because it blinds people to truth and creates unnecessary harm. The story reminds us that judgment is often a reflection of the person, making it rather than the one receiving it. Those who mocked her revealed their own arrogance, lack of compassion, and narrow-minded thinking. They showed that they were more interested in making themselves feel superior than in treating someone with basic dignity. The woman, on the other hand, revealed patience, strength, and grace in the face of ridicule. She did not need to argue with her critics. The commander's salute spoke louder than words ever could. In that single moment, judgment turned to regret, and arrogance turned to silence. This lesson also ties into the idea of hidden value. Many people carry within them experiences, strengths, and qualities that cannot be seen at first glance. A uniform, a title, or a medal may reveal those qualities later, but they exist long before anyone notices. The woman's dignity and worth were always there, even when others chose not to see them. The salute simply brought that hidden value into the open for everyone to recognize. This should serve as a reminder not to underestimate others. A stranger, a coworker, a student, or even someone sitting quietly at the back of a room may carry within them a story of extraordinary courage or sacrifice. To judge them without knowing their truth is to risk missing the depth of who they truly are. Furthermore, the scene at the gun store teaches us about humility in judgment. Instead of mocking, people should learn to withhold assumptions until they truly understand someone. Humility requires accepting that you do not know everything, that appearances can be misleading, and that every person deserves to be treated with kindness regardless of what you assume. If the mockers had practiced humility, they would not have been left red-faced when the truth was revealed. This lesson is deeply motivational because it encourages people not to let others' judgments define their self-worth. The woman could have let their laughter break her spirit, but she stood firm, knowing who she truly was. When judgment came, she endured it, and when truth surfaced, it crushed those who had mocked her. This demonstrates that strength comes from within, and that judgment, no matter how harsh, cannot erase the value of one's character. In everyday life, people should strive to replace judgment with curiosity and compassion. Instead of asking, "Why is she here?" or "Does he belong?" the better question is, What story might this person hold? By approaching others with respect and openness, the cycle of shallow judgment can be broken. The woman's experience reminds us that appearances deceive, but character endures, and eventually, the truth of who a person is will always come to light. Respect is one of the most powerful forces in human interaction, yet it is often given selectively rather than universally. In the story of the woman mocked at the gun store, the moment the commander saluted her transformed the entire atmosphere. What was once filled with scorn and ridicule quickly shifted into awe and silence. That single gesture of respect not only honored the woman, but also reminded everyone present of her hidden worth and dignity. Respect, in this sense, is not about titles or appearances, but about recognizing the value of a person regardless of how they look or where they come from. The salute itself carried deep meaning. In the military, a salute is a symbol of honor, recognition, and equality. When the commander saluted the woman, he was acknowledging her service, sacrifice, and strength. It was a reminder that she had earned that respect through her actions and her past, even though others in the room had dismissed her without thought. What is powerful here is that the respect she received from someone of authority outweighed all the insults thrown her way by ordinary individuals. Their mockery was temporary, but his salute was eternal, a mark of true recognition. Respect is often misunderstood as something that must be earned only through visible success or wealth. People tend to look up to those with money, titles, or fame while ignoring or dismissing those who appear ordinary. The woman in this story disrupted that illusion. Her quiet presence was enough, and the salute proved that respect does not come from flashy appearances, but from deeper qualities such as courage, integrity, and resilience. By saluting her, the commander forced everyone in the store to see her in a new light, not as a subject of mockery, but as someone to admire. This moment also highlights the fact that true respect cannot be faked. The commander did not salute her out of pity or social obligation. He saluted her because she had genuinely earned it in ways the others could not see. This shows the importance of living authentically and holding on to personal dignity, even when others refuse to recognize it. Sooner or later, respect finds its way to those who deserve it, often in moments where it carries the most impact. For the woman, being saluted in that environment made the recognition even more powerful, because it directly silenced her mockers and proved their judgment wrong. Respect also has the power to transform relationships. The people who mocked her may have laughed at her before, but after witnessing the salute, their perception of her undoubtedly changed. They could no longer see her as just a simple woman to ridicule. They now had to acknowledge her worth, even if they never admitted it aloud. Respect commands silence where mockery once thrived, and it forces people to reconsider their own behavior. This transformation teaches that showing respect should not depend on external validation like a salute, but should be the natural starting point in how we treat others. On a broader level, this story shows how respect connects to equality. Every person, no matter their gender, race, background, or appearance, deserves to be treated with respect. The woman did not have to prove herself to those in the gun store, yet their mocking behavior revealed how easily society strips away respect when someone does not fit their expectations. The commander's action reminded everyone that respect is not optional but fundamental. It is not about who looks strong or who fits a stereotype. It is about recognizing the humanity in every person. The lesson from this is deeply motivational because it empowers people to hold on to their dignity, even when others try to take it away. Respect from others may not always come quickly, but self-respect must remain constant. The woman did not beg for kindness or attempt to prove herself to those who laughed. She stood her ground, and in doing so, she preserved her dignity until it was publicly acknowledged by someone whose respect truly mattered. This is a reminder that while disrespect may hurt, it does not diminish who you are unless you allow it to. The story also challenges people to reflect on their own actions. Do we show respect to those who appear ordinary, or do we only reserve it for people society tells us are important? Do we honor the quiet sacrifices of everyday individuals, or do we overlook them until someone of authority reminds us of their worth? Respect is not something to give sparingly, it is something to extend freely, because every person carries unseen struggles, achievements, and dignity. Ultimately, the salute was not just a sign of honor, but also a lesson for everyone watching. It revealed that respect, when shown at the right moment, has the power to erase mockery, silence ignorance, and highlight true worth. The woman's story teaches us that respect is not only about what others give to us, but also about what we give to ourselves and to others. It is a reminder to walk with dignity, treat others with kindness, and never underestimate the unseen strength of those around us. Courage often reveals itself not in grand speeches or dramatic gestures, but in the quiet resolve to face situations that are uncomfortable, unfair, or intimidating. In the story of the woman mocked at the gun store, her courage was not in fighting back with anger or trying to prove herself to those who laughed at her. Instead, her courage was in simply being present, enduring the mockery, and holding on to her dignity. Even when surrounded by people who belittled her, courage, in this way, is not just about physical bravery, but about emotional strength, the willingness to stand tall in the face of humiliation and not let it break your spirit. It takes courage to walk into spaces where you know you may not be welcomed or respected. For this woman, entering the gun store already placed her in an environment where people may have questioned her presence. Yet, she chose to be there because she had her own reasons, needs, and independence. The mockery she faced was not a reflection of her worth, but of the ignorance of others. Many would have left in shame, but she stood her ground. That act alone was a silent form of courage that few recognized until the commander's salute revealed her true strength. True courage also means refusing to let others define who you are. When people mocked her, they attempted to reduce her identity to a stereotype or a target of laughter. However, courage allowed her to rise above their words and not let their shallow judgments sink into her heart. She did not need to shout back or prove her achievements in that moment, because her courage was already telling her that her value was greater than their opinions. This shows us that courage is deeply tied to self-belief. If you believe in your own worth, no amount of mockery can strip it away. Courage is also contagious. When the commander entered and saluted her, it was not only a gesture of respect, but also a validation of her bravery. The salute highlighted what she had been embodying all along, strength in the face of adversity. Those who mocked her suddenly had to reconsider their behavior, and they too were silently taught a lesson about what courage looks like. The atmosphere shifted because courage has the power to transform a room, to turn mockery into silence, and to replace arrogance with humility. On a larger scale, her courage teaches us something universal. Every person faces moments where they must decide whether to shrink in fear or stand firm in dignity. For many, courage is not about winning battles, but about refusing to give up when life feels unfair. It may mean walking into rooms where you are underestimated, applying for opportunities others say you don't deserve, or simply showing up for yourself even when others want to see you fail. This woman embodied that spirit, and her story reminds us that courage is often quiet but deeply powerful. Courage also has a lasting effect. Long after the mockery fades, What people remember is how someone responded. The woman will not be remembered for the insults thrown at her, but for the fact that she stood there with quiet strength and was eventually honored with a salute. That lasting image of courage overshadows the temporary sting of ridicule. This is a powerful lesson for anyone facing negativity. The voices that try to bring you down are temporary, but the courage you show can create an enduring legacy. Moreover, courage does not mean the absence of fear or pain. The woman may have felt hurt by the mocking, but her choice not to walk away or crumble under pressure showed that courage is acting in spite of fear, not in the absence of it. That is something everyone can apply in their own life. Whether it's pursuing a dream, standing up for what's right, or refusing to let others dictate your worth, courage requires us to move forward, even when the odds seem stacked against us. Her story proves that courage is not about making others respect you in the moment, but about living in such a way that respect eventually follows. Even if the commander had not saluted her, her courage would still have been real, still worthy of admiration. The salute only brought it to light for everyone else. This teaches us that courage is not dependent on recognition. You may act courageously without anyone noticing, but the strength you gain from it builds your character and prepares you for greater moments ahead. Finally, courage is what makes transformation possible. Without courage, the woman would have left in silence, and those mockers would never have been challenged. But because she stayed, because she held on to her dignity, she became the catalyst for a powerful lesson in that gun store. Her courage not only protected her own spirit, but also exposed the shallow cruelty of others and revealed the deeper truth of her worth. This is why courage is such a vital quality. It not only changes how we see ourselves, but also how the world eventually sees us.